It wasn't a creature from a campfire story, but a force of nature so sudden and violent it defied all understanding. In just a matter of minutes, the peaceful Guadalupe River swelled into a raging torrent the height of a two-story building, swallowing everything in its path. When the sun rose on a scene of utter devastation, the true horror became clear. Dozens of campers and counselors were gone, lost to the flood. The search was on, but as days turned into an agony of waiting, hope for the missing began to fade. This is a story of unthinkable tragedy, but it's also a story that transcends it. It's a story of how, in the face of unimaginable darkness, a nationwide chorus of prayer provided a beacon of strength for a community on its knees, grappling with a loss that would shake Texas to its core. For nearly a century, Camp Mystic has been more than just a summer camp. It's a Texas institution, a second home for generations of girls. Nestled in the heart of the ruggedly beautiful Texas Hill Country, its cabins and grounds sit along the picturesque banks of the Guadalupe River. For decades, families have sent their daughters here, entrusting them to a place known for fostering friendship, character, and a deep, abiding Christian faith. Camp Mystic is a world of tradition, of singing songs under the vast Texas sky, of learning to ride horses, and of forging bonds that last a lifetime. Every summer, it's a place of laughter, of joy, of girls growing into the women they're meant to be. The summer of 2025 was no different. Over 550 girls had arrived for their term, their hearts full of excitement. They were greeted by the camp's veteran director, Richard "Dick" Eastland, a man who, along with his wife, had owned the camp since 1974. To the countless campers who passed through Mystic's gates, he was a pillar of the community, embodying the camp's spirit of kindness and faith. The first days of the term were idyllic, filled with the familiar rhythms of camp life. Friendships blossomed, new skills were learned, and faith was deepened through daily devotionals. The Guadalupe River, the camp's centerpiece, was a source of life and recreation, a place for cooling off on hot afternoons. No one could have imagined that this very source of life was about to become an instrument of unimaginable destruction. The idyllic scene was a fragile veneer, about to be shattered by a force gathering in the skies above. The 4th of July began with an ominous stillness. The air was thick and heavy, and the sky held a menacing, bruised color. Weather reports had mentioned a flood watch for the region, a common enough occurrence in the area known as Flash Flood Alley. But nothing could prepare them for the deluge that was about to be unleashed. In the late hours of the night, a powerful complex of thunderstorms stalled over the Texas Hill Country. The heavens opened and rain began to fall with an intensity that was biblical in scale. It wasn't just a storm, it was a water bomb. In a terrifyingly short span of time, the equivalent of 4 months' worth of rain was dumped across the region. For the girls and counselors asleep in their cabins at Camp Mystic, the nightmare began without warning. Just before 3 a.m., the South Fork of the Guadalupe River began to rise at a speed that defied belief. It wasn't a gradual swell, it was an explosion. The river surged an astonishing 26 feet in just 45 minutes. A wall of water churning with uprooted trees, debris, and the remnants of homes from further upstream slammed into the camp. Cabins closest to the river were obliterated instantly. Survivors would later describe waking to the sound of splintering wood and the terrifying sensation of water rushing through their windows. Panic and chaos erupted in the pitch-black darkness. Counselors, some just teenagers themselves, scrambled to get their campers to safety, screaming for them to climb, to get to higher ground. Amidst the chaos, the camp's 78-year-old patriarch, Dick Eastland, was reportedly seen rushing toward the cabins closest to the raging river, desperately trying to evacuate the girls inside. It was a final, heroic act. The current, impossibly strong, swept him away as he worked to save the children he had dedicated his life to protecting. His selfless sacrifice was a devastating loss in a night defined by tragedy. When the first light of dawn broke on July 5th, it revealed a scene of absolute horror. The once beautiful camp was unrecognizable, a landscape of mud-caked debris and shattered buildings. The scale of the loss was staggering. Across the region, the death toll began its grim climb, ultimately reaching over 120 souls, making it the deadliest inland flood in the United States in nearly 50 years. At Camp Mystic, the heart of the Texas camping community, the news was catastrophic. The camp released a statement confirming that 27 of their beloved campers and counselors had been lost in the flood. "Our hearts are broken," the statement read, shattered alongside the families enduring an unimaginable tragedy. But as the initial shock gave way to the grim task of accounting for every child, a new, terrifying reality set in. As of July 9th, 5 young girls and their counselor remained missing, their fate unknown. Hope for their survival was dwindling with every passing hour. In the face of that crushing despair, something incredible began to happen. It didn't start with an official announcement, but organically a quiet ripple of faith that quickly grew into a tidal wave of prayer. As news of the tragedy and the missing girls spread from Kerr County across Texas, and the nation, families, friends, and total strangers were united by a single, desperate plea. "Lord, comfort these families and bring these children home." Social media platforms transformed into virtual prayer circles. People shared the names and photos of the missing, asking thousands to join them in praying for comfort for the terrified families and for guidance for the exhausted search crews. Churches from Houston to Dallas added the Camp Mystic victims to their prayer lists. In San Antonio and other communities, people gathered in parks and town squares for candlelight vigils, their faces illuminated by flickering flames as they lifted their voices in shared hope. There were reports of surviving campers evacuated onto buses, singing hymns together to calm each other down. It was a testament to the deep faith that was a cornerstone of the camp itself. Governor Greg Abbott declared a statewide day of prayer, urging all Texans to unite in faith for the victims and their families. An entire nation, it seemed, was on its knees, not demanding a miracle, but praying for the strength to endure the unthinkable. As the days crawled by, the search and rescue mission continued relentlessly, a massive operation involving local, state, and even international teams. But the mood grew more somber. The Guadalupe River had been a violent, churning force of destruction, and the chances of finding anyone alive were fading. The mission, while officially still a rescue, was transitioning into one of recovery. For the families of the 5 missing girls and their counselor, every passing minute was an eternity of agony. The nationwide prayer vigil continued, a steadfast beacon of faith against a growing tide of grim reality. The search was grueling. Rescue teams navigated a treacherous landscape of debris piles and muck-filled riverbanks. With each day that passed without news, the collective heart of Texas broke a little more. The last live rescue had been on Friday, the day of the flood. The focus shifted from hope of reunion to the desperate need for closure for the families who were living every parent's worst nightmare, waiting by the phone for news. The prayers of the nation were now prayers for peace for the grieving and strength for the weary rescuers combing the ravaged river. The story of the Camp Mystic flood will forever be marked by profound loss and tragedy. The 27 campers and counselors who perished, including heroic counselor Chloe Childress, and young campers like 8-year-old twins Hannah and Rebecca Lawrence, will never be forgotten. Their names, along with the dozens of others lost in the wider hill country, are etched into the heart of a grieving state. The heroic sacrifice of Dick Eastland remains a testament to his dedication. Yet out of that unspeakable darkness, a powerful light of community and faith emerged. The survival stories that did come out, like those of Congressman August Pfluger's daughters, who prayed while huddled on a second floor as the waters rose, showed incredible bravery. The vigils, the social media movements, and the shared songs all painted a picture of a community refusing to let darkness win. The outpouring of support became a source of spiritual strength in the darkest of hours. It was a story not about the power of the flood, but about the power of faith to hold people together when everything else has been washed away. The story of the Camp Mystic flood is a powerful reminder that faith and community can bring strength even in the darkest of times. If you have a story about how your community came together in the face of tragedy, we would be honored if you would share it in the comments below. These testimonies are a source of encouragement for so many. And if you want to see more true stories of faith and resilience, please consider subscribing to our channel and turning on notifications. The catastrophic flood of July 2025 left a permanent scar on the heart of Texas. It brought communities to their knees in grief, but it also brought them to their knees in prayer. The story that unfolded is a powerful testament that transcends the tragedy of the event itself. It's a modern-day parable of hope, a demonstration that when a community unites in unwavering faith, it can find the strength to endure the impossible. The prayers that echoed across the nation may not have produced the miracle everyone hoped for, but they provided a different kind of miracle, the grace to face the unimaginable together. It reminds us all that even when we are lost in the wilderness of grief, faith is the compass that can help lead us through the sorrow.